Let's talk about the components of the resume. We're going to make this super simple, okay? Just got to break it down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not going to be that hard, okay? So just take it one piece at a time. For instance, the very top of the resume, I've got this really cool example up here. It's got all the basic things that have to go on here. I'm going to, the numbers are a little bit out of order, but they're important points. But we're going to start on the top and show the things that need to be in here. When we get to the end, we're going to have, when we get to the end of this course, we're actually going to have some action steps. We're going to go through bump, each of the steps too, to make sure, you know, here's what I do first, second, third, fourth, and we're just going to put this thing together like a Lego set. Be easy, okay? You're going to have a Lego resume by the time you get done with that, okay? Cool. First component, we got to have our name up here. All right, so that's pretty simple. It should be the biggest thing that you see on the page because you're the most important thing to this whole thing. We need to make sure you get a great job. And so your name is prominent on the page. What was that person's name again? Oh, yeah, Joan. Okay. All right, so we also are going to have an email and a phone number that they use to get a hold of you. How are they going to get a hold of you? Make sure you have the best one on there and only one. You'll notice there's not an address. That's the third thing. Okay, there's no address. There's just a city. Now, if you're going after a job that's national or international, you might choose to not put that on there at all. That's an option for you. And we don't have to put our actual full address on there. We can just put the city. Okay, so that's fine. So for me, it's just San Diego, California, and that's all I need to have on there. After that, it's really helpful to have your online profile URL, which is a link to your LinkedIn account. All right. This is going to be a great way to show people what your LinkedIn resume. Now, I have another video that I will do on LinkedIn. Okay. In essence, LinkedIn is just a cool version of your resume. Okay. It just keeps all these components together for you forever over on a site. And it's actually a really valuable way to get a job by getting involved in LinkedIn. I highly encourage you to do that. And I'll talk more about that in another video. Right now, we're just focused on the resume. If you didn't have LinkedIn on there, it's okay. Okay, for now. When you get your LinkedIn put together, go ahead and put that on there and have that link. So, because it's very common for people to look for you on LinkedIn to see who you are. They want to see your face. They want to see your background. They want to just get some more ideas about you. So that's a good way to do that. All right. So far, we've just had the basic information up on top. You'll notice it says no header or footer. So we take the header and footer away just so that there's more room on it. Also, you'll notice it says no photo. Now, in Europe and many other countries, photos are very common to put up in the corner. You just drop a little headshot view up on there as well. Thing is, when you're sending this through a scanner of where you have an applicant software, the applicant software can't read that. It doesn't know what that is. Okay, it's not a word. It doesn't recognize it, so it doesn't help you. Now, there are some situations where it might make sense to put your photo on there, especially if you carry it in and give it to a manager specifically. They go, oh yeah, I got 200 resumes here. All right, but I see this person's name. Now I remember them. Okay, so it can be a really helpful thing. So there are some times when putting a photo on there will have an advantage to you. Most of the time, you're going to leave it off though. Okay, especially when you're sending it in through the internet. Now, the internet's a terrible way to get a job, and we'll talk more about that in some of my other courses. But a lot of, that's where most people spend their time. And even though I try to talk them out of it, they'll spend a lot of time there. And they're putting their resume in with if it's got a photo. Again, it's not going to work. It's not going to go through an applicant software and be seen by anybody. So don't bother putting it on there. The next thing we do is we're going to put a summary. It can be called an executive summary. It can be just a summary. In any case, what this does is allows a hiring manager like myself to look and see what area of the business does this person work in. Okay, financial. So it's a financial person. All right. What level? This is an analyst, so they're an independent contributor rather than a manager or a director level or a VP. So it gives me some sense of how high in the organization they would be. when they're working as well. So that's going to be helpful. It should oftentimes give an indication of what industries they might work in. Okay, so and there's certain types of jobs that can work in a whole bunch of different industries. Other types of jobs only really fit in one specific industry. But that industry, that type of job, that level, those labels should be put in there to describe what it is that you do. You'll also notice in this case they highlight Spanish, fluent in Spanish in certain types of jobs. That could be relative and it could be real helpful. The next piece we need to get after are the keywords. Now, the keywords are super important because as these resumes go through the applicant software, they're going to try to match keywords to the job description. So a manager writes down, I need somebody who knows how to do this and this and this and this and this. Okay. Then those words need to match what's on your resume. So as you see a job description for a job you think is cool, we want to put those keywords on there. Now, of course, they should be things that are accurate, things that you have learned. But now, if it says financial reporting, you can go take a class on financial reporting, and learn that and use it as a keyword. Market analysis. All right, I'm going to take a course on market analysis, and now I know how to do market analysis. Now, how much experience you have? No, not that much, but I've been studying it. I'm interested and I want to do it. And so you can still do some things to match those keywords because there's a manager that has your cool job and they're saying you need this. Well, go get it and then put it on your resume so that you can match up that keyword. We'll talk more about that and how to manage it, but I want you to understand these keywords are the way to change your resume very, very quickly for each different job that you're going after. Okay? Now, be aware, account executive and a salesperson can be the exact same job, but they're different labels. If that manager is looking for an account executive, you need to say account executive, not salesperson. And don't be frustrated because I told him I was a salesperson, right? It says right on my resume. The applicant software sees this first, and it's going to weed you out before you even get a chance to talk to the manager. And that's the problem. So we need to make sure these keywords match. Okay, so I hope that's something you understand. It's really, really important. So the next piece we're going to get into is professional experience. This should start with your last job, which is anything you did last is the most important thing usually. Once in a while, there might be something that you did way in the past and you say, I don't want to get back into that type of work again. Okay, there are some ways to move that higher up and emphasize it as opposed, but for most people, most jobs they're going after, it'll be something that you did in your last job that you'll highlight. And so a couple things you'll notice. First of all, it says professional experience. As you go into this professional experience, you'll also notice it says down here under education. I just want the education, technical skills, professional experience to all be in the same font, same size, same kind of bolded format. You can move it to the right or left or in the center. I don't really care about that, but just make sure it's the same. They're also in this case, they're using lines to break up the resume so it's a little easier to define which is education and which is your professional experience. That can be useful. You'll notice that there's a company name, there's the location of the company, and then there's dates. The dates do not necessarily have to have the months that you were working there. Okay. As a matter of fact, that'll be really valuable to you because there might be a job that you had from December of let's say 2018 to January of 2019. I only worked there for 2 months and it looks bad, but if you put down 2018 to 2019, it looks like you're there for 2 years. Okay. You can explain it in the resume, or in the interview, but get the interview. Get the interview. That's what this is all about. Okay, so let them ask you, but they're talking to you at least, and then you got a better chance of making this all happen. All right, so let's make that happen. You'll notice there's a quick little description. What do I say about the company? Well, you just go to the company's website and say whatever they say. Just copy and paste. This is a copy and paste exercise. It's super, super easy. All right, so you're going to do that on your companies that you work on. Well, Jeff, do I have to put all the companies that I worked at? Not necessarily. First of all, you only have to go back maybe 10 years. As a matter of fact, if for people who've been around a long time, maybe have 30 years of experience, I'd probably only go back 20, and so that's fine. anything you did in the last 5 to 10 years is really what they are most interested in. They don't really care what happened, 30 years ago. That may not help the story all that much. And then we get into, we're also putting things on here from most important to least important. So here's the company, and it's very common for people to have a number of different jobs under the company. So we put the company first so that we only have to put it down once. So that's important. Then we put the job, and we'll say what we could actually put each of the jobs on there. And then you'll describe what was my responsibility. Now, one of the things that's going to be really important are success stories, and you need to spend some time writing down, how was I successful? Well, as a coach, I work for several different coaching companies. I got awards. I won awards over the other coaches, all right, because I was good at what I did. And so that I can say, won 16 awards from one company because I hit their performance measures. That'll be the same thing with a salesperson, or maybe it's a software engineer. You might put in, let's say a software engineer has learned, 10 different types of software programs. You may want to mention that. That's a great thing. The size and scope of the company, or the size and scope of your responsibility. I manage, and I did account management for, $2.3 million. That's different than somebody who only has $100,000 worth of responsibility. So, having those numbers in there. The size of the team you worked on. I worked with one other person versus I worked with 30 other people. Well, that says, okay, well, you worked in a big company. All right, that's kind of cool. You might be able to say that. So any place where you can put numbers on here, the size of the group, the size of the company, the size of the financial responsibility, the number of products that we put out. It could be, number of customers that came through the door per day. Any of those kinds of things are really helpful in getting people an understanding of what it was that you did. Now, in the job description, you'll see here in the company, so there's company description, the financial analysis type of job that they did, and then there's description of what that job was. And then those bullets are where you're going to put your achievements or your success stories. Put them in short little bullets. The most recent job will probably have the most number of bullets, and as you go farther back in time, you'll have less and less, because again, those jobs will probably be less important. There are some exceptions to that, but you'll notice you get into the next company, the location, the dates on there, or the years specifically. You'll see the job, what they did in the job. You'll see some numerical values that show the size and scope of it. It'll show some of the success stories. Increased data mining 62%. All right, that's a good increase. So I can see this person has performed in that. And we just keep repeating that down through as many jobs as you choose, going back typically anywhere from 10 to 20 years. And then you just stop. You can go to 2 pages, no problem. Do not make a 3-page resume. You're talking too much if you're doing that, okay? But it's fine. A 2-page resume is perfectly fine. If you're newer to the job market and you only have 1 page, that's okay too. All right, but 1 to 2 pages is generally what's expected. You should put on the second page that it's page 2, and probably your name as well, in case those 2 pages get separated on somebody's desk. Okay, and they realize, well, who is this? They can't tell, on the back. So it should have your name in page 2, so it shows that these 2 pages go together. Then we get into education. Now, some people have a lot of education to talk about, and many people don't have that much, but they all very commonly, most everybody has some training that they can talk about. So this could say education and training. If you had some college experience, put the college down, and some of the coursework that you studied. In this case, it shows this person had a Bachelor of Science and they got the degree in 2008. Well, you might say, I went to school between 2008 and 2010, studied this, but you just leave off the fact that you didn't get your bachelor's or your Bachelor's of Science degree, and that's okay. But it does show that you had some education, and that's helpful. And then you can also put any kind of training. Let's say someone is a salesperson. They can put sales training on there. That's terrific. So talk about sales training that you've done. There's a lot of great training out there. If you took a course on the internet, it's super common for people to do that. Write those down. These are things that I did that made me a better person, and specifically to the job. If you're, maybe you're going after some job that is technical in nature. Maybe you're a videographer, and they said, well, I know how to use Photoshop. I know how to use different programs for video editing. Those are things that they're going to be looking for in that job. So those could be technical skills that you put down that relate to the job as well. Okay, some jobs, maybe a sales job, or administration job, you may not have that much more beyond Excel, Word, PowerPoint, things like that. But put them down if they make sense to the job. It'll just help. Okay, so these are some of the basic components that we want to have in the resume. So we break them down one at a time, and we just stack them in there until we've got our rough draft of the resume. Okay, don't consider this like it needs to be perfect. Okay, your first draft of the resume is just getting the data on the page. It could be 5 pages long when you first put it all together. Okay, and then we're going to edit it down to the most important things, so we get it down to those 2 pages. We want the font size to be at least 12, so it's easy to read. A lot of times I see people, I've got this 9-point font, and you got to get your face up to the screen to try to see what it says. It's just really hard to deal with. So in case this is something else I want you to do as well. But these are the basic components of the resume. Hope that helps. Let's talk about a couple other aspects of this as well. All right.